Okay.
This is our March planning session. You should have the minutes from February, so review those. Allegheny Valley Joint Sewage Authority.
Yes, the amendment to extend the life of the authority up to 50 years that Gary Taylor came and talked to us about has been filed with the state. Construction plans and easement plans are continuing smoothly. That's for the sewage coming down through the valley. And then finally, they are hiring a summer help, one from Cheswick. And they must be attending college presently and able to drive and 18 years old, female or male. And so let's we have to get that out there somewhere, some way, maybe on our website or something.
I'm sorry, is this they're hiring someone?
Yes, from the borough, one person, either a female or male, 18 years old.
In college.
In college, attending college for summer help.
Okay.
You
Like
could check.
grass cutting.
Remember
maintenance.
Nick that was here, Calian?
Yes,
He would fit that bill.
yes, but I heard he already accepted the position with the borough,
Spring.
Borough. I had thought of that too. So, and they need to know as soon as possible too on that.
Do they need to be a current college student?
Yes,
Or,
attending, yes.
I don't know if we contact the school and if they can say someone who's going to college as a freshman, that would be sufficient. I mean, I think we should put it on the website.
As long as they're 18, you would think that would be.
Yeah.
Well, he said they must be attending college, and whether it's, I didn't talk to him, he dropped his stuff off, and he said they must be. So I would think, so 18 years old, female, male, drive. From Cheswick Borough.
Maybe you ought to give him a call.
Harvey
Told us that when he was here.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Do you have anything from the zoning officer?
Nope, Brett. Did you have your meeting on last Friday?
With who?
You were having a meeting last Friday with the group that redid our zoning?
Oh, we'll get to that. That's later. Now this would be with Sam. If Sam has a report.
Okay.
He usually does a monthly report, and we either do it this meeting or the fall meeting, the council meeting.
I'll have to get in contact. I need his contact information.
Do we have anything from the solicitor? Guess not. Okay, general office, BCD.
Want me to talk to these?
Yep.
All right, we have the DCED working to bring our QuickBooks bank balances up to date. That's all that's left in order to sign off on the F-17 audit. So upon completion, we'll send that over to Deluzio for the sign-off, so we'll be good to go there. We're also looking into acquiring a remote deposits scanner to be used down here in the office. That will eliminate many trips to the bank, especially during when we're collecting on water bills. The bank has come back. They're not going to charge us for the scanner. They're going to reduce their monthly fee. Standard is $85 to $25 for us. So I think that in the long run that will might more than pay for itself for the time spent down at the bank. That also means those checks are going to clear immediately. You scan them, they're going through the clearinghouse, so we'll eliminate any NSFs because we get some feedback there. It's taken too long for the checks to clear. Louise can also use this as she's collecting the taxes here in the office. As residents come in, she can just scan them and get the deposits in. So I think, all around it would definitely be an efficiency save for everybody. And then we want to discuss the adoption of a resolution to destroy old files and records that the municipal records manual retention policy has elapsed. There's files down there from 1900-something.
Yeah, as a little bit of a background, we had adopted a couple years ago the state's procedure for records retention. So Andy was kind of a pack rat. We have, I just looked down there today, we have tax folders from 1929. And so there's just a ton of stuff down there that needs to be disposed, shredded. So we'll put together a resolution. The way it works is that you basically describe in generality what's in the boxes. Like you'll say, canceled checks from 1966. And so there'll be a whole series of things that you'll see that was in that box, and we'll just vote to approve to get rid of it. Water administration, guide is not here, she's late. I guess, where are we at in the billing process?
We've closed the regular billing, so, and the penalty period has elapsed. There she is, she can pick it up, she's what?
Do you have your update on the billing process?
Yes, she does. We gave it to her today.
That's good timing.
I'd say. Sorry, I'm. That's where you are.
That's exactly where we are.
For March, there are penalties have been added for March. Current amount due is $11,000. Previous that has been paid is $16,000, and we're averaging the year to date of $12,000. There are 141 water bills that are delinquent, and I guess
So
some
to clarify, those are the ones that haven't been paid.
have not been paid.
Yeah, on the
Last
due date.
Yes. And the fire hydrant in front of the church was repaired the 23rd. That was after the last meeting, so everything's all done there, correct? So that's the info.
Okay. Anything else? Zoning? She'll take
Oh, yeah, zoning. Okay, we received a proposal from General Code to update the code book, which my understanding has been updated since 1986. This is an organization, that's what they do for a living. The cost came in, the quote, at $8,515. And that was just for updating the book itself. And then there's also a second phase or option that you can have the code book updated with editorial and legal analysis. So in essence, once the book is updated, then they'll go through some protocols to determine and make sure all your ordinances are legal, in accordance with the state requirements of the state that they relate. And then do some analysis if you have redundancies, you have conflicting ordinances. You might have an ordinance for one thing that conflicts with an ordinance with another thing. The project in itself would probably take, phase one would take about a year, at least a year, or maybe a little bit more. And if we chose to go with the editorial and legal analysis, you're looking at upwards of 2 years upon completion of the project. So I think we'd go phase one first, get that book updated, and then the cost is allocated across the duration of the project. So you're interested in signing up, if we went this route and you signed the agreement, you'd pay 25%. 25% upon submission of the administrative review, and then 35% upon submission of their draft, and then the balance due upon completion. So it is, makes it a little bit more palatable, stretching the $8,500 out over the course of a year, based on, and that could even be elongated if it takes them longer reaching those milestones throughout their project.
We don't know. More than likely, the first part or maybe the first two parts will be done this year. Then the
Yes,
stretch
our
done next year.
understanding is this is something that Ian had initiated and started some dialogue with them. So he did already give them all the ordinances that were not included in the book from dated from '86.
A little bit on the background. This is the company that did the 1986 work, so they have all our data. Ian had contacted them, and as Lorraine said, they came up with a proposal. What was I going to say? It's certainly something that needs to be done. And I think not only the first part, but the second part, but after the first part is done. So what happens is, I know what I was going to say. What happens is you have in 1986, you have a summary of all the ordinances. That's the code book. But as the years go on, you pass ordinances, which are laws, which theoretically get put into the code book. The company at the time, which was this general code, would put inserts. This is somewhat, prior to the technology as we know it today. You'd put inserts in there, but that only got us to about 1999. So you have about 20 years worth of ordinances, and you pass maybe 1 or 2 a year. There's not necessarily a lot of ordinances being passed, but those all have to be included. Ian went back, found all the ordinances, and provided them with the ordinances. So they're really poised right now. Ian left. We were about ready to approve them to do this. So we're running
I
3
think
or
it
4
got
months
into the
late.
budget. I didn't have the
I
opportunity
believe
to
it
double
budgeted.
look, but I do believe it did. The other thing that he shared with us, personally, I think is pretty neat. They also have a website. So once you're engaged with them, and say you wanted to, you're out looking to implement a new ordinance, you can look at what other municipalities that they represent do. Say with something along the lines with sidewalks. Put in keyword sidewalks, and you can review ordinances from all the municipalities from, in your state if you want it, or even outside of. So as being part of this project, that is included. It's not a separate subscription. However, after the conclusion of the project, we could subscribe to that if we wanted to.
How many books would this give us?
Well, as many as you wanted to pay for, but I
It's
think
digital.
only 2. Yeah, but
Okay.
most of it will be digital.
Would this give us, I've seen E360 or some municipalities have where the ordinances are actually accessible online. Would this
Yes.
include that, so we would be able to see
We
our
could,
ordinances, our residents could find out what our ordinances are without having to come and bother us with getting a book or?
well, at the very least, we could provide them with a PDF.
Right.
Well, they have ones where it's broken into, it's like a electronic book where
Right.
you can browse the different sections and then find the code or do a general search, all those types of things. And I see them for many municipalities, and I want to say the one I see most common is, I think it's called E360, it might be PA E360 or something like that.
Well, if you go with them, like if you had a situation with signs, you could search all of all the municipalities.
But I don't know that our residents would have access to it. Think of a
At least
resident.
we would, yeah.
Yeah. Pardon me?
We would.
We would, yes, but our residents, I don't think would.
I don't know, I can't remember.
But to that point, that should be something we should be able to post. We just need a good website that we can post to.
Well, I think it's actually done through their website.
Oh, okay.
Ones I've seen before are done through that.
We can follow up and ask this guy those questions.
And how long was that proposal good for?
He didn't, I don't know that he gave us and I didn't print
We
the
need
whole
to start
proposal.
relatively soon. I would
Yeah,
propose just voting on it at the next meeting.
and I can have those details for you.
That's fine.
Questions? O'Reilly's agreement, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, Matt, I knew you were coming. Any updates on the O'Reilly's development agreement?
I'll have to reach out to them again. When we talked
Okay.
last, I sent them an email, haven't heard anything back.
Okay, we're getting legal, we have a lot of fines and fees, and
Yeah,
it's been going on for quite some time, so we'd like to try to
yeah, I'll get on that.
recover some of those. So that would be great. So I do
Had
want-
Teseri put together a developer's agreement?
I believe the agreement was all together and presented to them. I just don't think that we got an executed copy back yet.
Right.
And I did run across that. I saw that, but I
So you're gonna talk to them?
Yeah, I'll talk to them.
We need that. We're just, we're spending way too much money right now. It's where we have too
No,
much.
and anything that was spent will be reimbursable through that agreement as well.
Right.
So anything that's not paid can be invoiced directly to them. Anything that's been paid will be reimbursable.
What happens if they bail on this? I mean, they've been given a lot of runaround.
We'd have to talk to Vince on that and probably
Yeah.
go after them for the fees.
Where is this project, do you know?
I just talked to Mr. Alexander Monday. It had, the judge heard verbal arguments on the 6th, and he hasn't given his decision yet. But the solicitor felt that even if it went favorably for O'Reilly's, that they were going to pursue taking it to the state level.
Yeah, they're gonna try to delay this as long as possible.
That's exactly what Mr. Alexander said, that his opinion
Looks
was.
that way.
That they were going to do everything they could to delay it.
Okay. Anything else on that?
Thank you, ma'am.
Public health and safety?
Yes, so you might recall about a year ago around this time, we had asked the DCED to do a feasibility study for a merger with our police department. We're looking to do a similar study for a merger with the fire company. This will be with the company at the top of the hill. So, like before, we just need to have a motion where we're asking to do this study. Doesn't cost us anything out of pocket. They do all the research and then present us with a study similar to what we've done before.
We fill out a form. You wanna make the motion?
Sure. I want to make a motion to request the DCED to do a feasibility study for the merger of the Chesapeake Volunteer Fire Company with the Allegheny Valley Fire Company.
Yep. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve DCED to do the feasibility study for a merger of the Chesapeake Volunteer Fire Company with the Allegheny Valley Fire Company. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
The next item is, if you recall, with the new waste contract that we have with Vogel, one of the services we have is an e-waste and hazardous household waste service. That service is provided on a quarterly basis, and the first go-around was this past Thursday, the 8th. We had 10, they call them customers, we had 10 residents make use of the program this time around. We already have 8 signed up for the next time around, which is in early June. There was a little bit of an issue with the time needed to request that they come to your house to pick up. Initially, they had told us it was 7 days, but there seems to have been an issue with the 7 days in terms of what the DEP requires. So it's been pushed back to 10 days. So our residents are taking 10 days notice. They provide us with documentation specifying what exactly they are for each, what the deadline is going to be for each one going forward. So it's something we need to get out to our residents. I think I would like for us to see if we can do some type of newsletter where we include that as part of it, just to make sure everyone's aware that it's 10 days, not 7 days, to ensure no one misses a date. Unfortunately, I think a few did, although they told us they did the best they could to accommodate people. But for things that were hazardous household waste, the reason for the change is that that they have to then coordinate with the place that is going, essentially the dump that is taking the property or the waste. They need to coordinate with them, and that requires a 7-day lead time. So that's why they are pushing it back and asking for 10 days. But that's what I have for that. And then the last item I have is that we received a resignation for Officer Pollock that was effective as of Sunday, which would have been the 10th. So at this time, I want to make a motion to accept the resignation of Officer Pollock effective March 10th, 2019.
Second?
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second to accept the resignation of part-time Officer Pollock. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And then I would like to request an executive session to discuss personnel matters.
Okay. The newsletter, we probably should start working on it. Do you have time to begin something like that, or take topics? Why don't we collect topics for a newsletter?
I know Sam has some things he
Yeah.
definitely wants in there. And we probably should continue to reiterate the water where we're at.
You can look at some of the other ones and
Right.
see which ones.
Not any other.
We need somebody for the Uniform Construction Code review board. So remember that and get that into her.
There's at the Builders Association last night, they already have an organization in place. So I was at the board meeting last night. I need to find out more about it. I couldn't have time to talk to the president about it.
What group is this?
The Builders Association, it's called BAM, Builders Association of Metro Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
I'm an associate board member there, and last night was our meeting. They have something already in place. And I was trying to get details of the meeting, didn't let out till very late, so I did send an email, trying to get more details. So as I get them, I'll let you know, but they already have,
Okay.
they already assist municipalities in these types of issues.
That would be great. Anything else, Michael?
No, that's all I have.
Okay, bill list, go down through the bill list, let's take a quick look. So the S&T Bank is,
That's an audit today. That's for,
That's
the-
it.
that's the most
Right.
recent.
And that American leak detection is for all that,
Yeah.
that big water line
Right.
with the BCI.
Yeah, that's the
Bill
trenching.
Cattamore
Right.
trenching, who had helped us with all the
And then,
hydrant.
So all in it costs us about 30,000.
20.
22 for American League.
22 just for American League. That was, yeah, around 23, I think. No,
Well, is it
What the
BCI
Yeah.
trenching is part of it?
you're right, right.
yeah, all the BCI. And then there was a, for the
Plus,
hydrant, plus the hydrant cost.
Yeah, the
The
hydrant
was
cost is
a
in
couple
that.
thousand.
Yeah.
That's everything that National Grid
Right, plus we
Utilities.
used them again for another leak that we had up on Pillow that wasn't included in
Okay.
that. So I think that was around the 18 on that. Yeah, it hit us. Plus the water that we lost.
yeah, I talked to
Yes, sir.
Frank, we're going to do a reassess of the budget. So we'll go back through and see where we're at this point. Because we've had a lot of changes since the budget was developed, and you'll see where
Well,
we're at.
that's-
Well, keep in mind, last year we had some major leaks also, which caused us to raise the fixed amount in our water billing list that covers those type of things. We didn't lower it because we were very concerned that we were going to have leaks again this year. We have pipes in town that have not been replaced; they're not new. A lot of transites. Apparently, the valves have a different metal that's holding the valve parts together. And Davey's saying that he can't turn these things off. That's one of the problems that we ran into here. He didn't want to shut off some of the water valves because he was concerned about snapping the valves, snapping the bolts.
Okay.
So somebody, I think, talked to Gordon. Did you talk to Gordon? Somebody talked
Yeah, I
to
did
Gordon.
talk to
Davey
Gordon.
talked to Gordon about the contract that was used to put in the water lines in the past and why they're snapping.
Okay, I'll talk to Gordon about
You
it.
follow what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Again, according to Davey, the bolts are snapping because they're a different material. They're not corrosion resistant,
okay,
and they shouldn't be that way. And Gordon said he was supposed to be looking up the old contract.
okay. Yeah, I'll talk to him about that.
Okay. Anything else on here? Anyways, I guess what I was starting to say is, we had some monies built in for this occasion. The question is, how much? And that's what we have to, Frank's gonna have to take a look at. Okay, we're ready. If you have any other questions on here, just call the office, we'll try to figure it out. Pensions and insurance?
Randy will provide an explanation.
Yeah, with this, just wanted to make comment, as I was working with RJ Hall related to the 2018 MMO, it was called to my attention that we had a receivable due, short paid it at the end of the year by a total of $3,100, with some interest. I have to pay $3,300, and that will bring 18, true up 18, we're whole there, and then we're good to go for 19. And that will all become due by the end of the year. We'll apply for state aid in September, we'll get that, and then, whatever we get from that, we'll apply to the pensions, the respective policing, non-union, and then pay off the balance by the end of the year.
So the 2018 MMO, that means is that last September, the MMMO came in for 2019,
Yes,
right, that we have to pay this year?
this year, correct,
Okay,
yes.
well, let me think a second.
No,
No.
I haven't
This
paid
is, this
anything
is the
for
one,
19.
this is the one that came in 2017 for 2018.
Correct.
And it didn't get paid. Okay.
Yeah, and it was just the way it's laid out, and there's a line above that has employee contributions and a bottom line. And I picked the bottom line, so.
We made the newspaper because of this.
I know, that's what I'm telling you, it's nothing, we're all good. Working with principal, everybody, we're whole.
Good.
We're whole, and we're no risk to 19, so everything's great.
Okay, Parks and Recreation.
A couple of things. I don't know whether you're aware that the rec board is wanting to put a new roof on the gazebo over here, and we will give some of our money towards it, but we need some additional funding. I've talked to a couple contractors, and that hasn't been terribly successful. Bids are still higher than we would like it to be. I did give some information to Lowe's, and apparently they pick up somebody every month to help, so that may not be obvious of anything at all until the 1st of April. I think you are going to talk to Sam Sachs.
I did.
If he has anything.
And he and another person will take a look at it.
Okay. Hagen Park.
Bob, sorry to interrupt, but I was poking around on the Pennsylvania Borough Association's website, and there has to be at least 8, if not more, grants that are for recreational type of things. I don't know if that's something we could possibly look at in terms of the
If you want to get it to me.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Okay. Brad and I are sort of working on this.
This is kind of a project that if you had a good handyman, they could do it.
I mean, I'm not sure how.
The roofers,
Right.
we may have a roofer that'll do it, but generally roofers will.
It's
tackle
a
it.
little tricky because it's an octagon, but if you know your stuff, it should be good. Hagen Park, I was talking to Frank. Frank was at some COG meetings, and we're thinking that we really need to try to do something with the road over there. And for example, we do have the baseball people. I can't remember who they are. I think they're-
It's a Freeport invitation.
So we at least have to get something decent for them up there, which I think we can. Davey said he has to go take a look. I think it may need a little bit more than just grass cutting, but we'll take a look at that. He'll take a look at that.
Well, they said they'll take care of the field.
Yes, they did.
So they're taking care of the field.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So when I talked to Frank, the first step in, again, we're thinking about a grant because there's really no money that's easily accessible. Let's say I talked to Experimental, it's about $40,000. He's real reluctant to let loose on it because he said, when it's gone, it's gone. So we'll set that aside for right now. But Frank thought we might be able to get a grant. And the first thing we need to get a grant is get some sort of price tag. And that's when it was suggested that maybe Matt could give us some basic idea of what it would cost to do that up there.
Comments?
I have no idea.
I talked to Frank briefly about it. He seemed to think he was focusing more on the roadway.
Well, that's what I meant.
As far as the grants go, none of them that are available right now would include the roadway work. It's more for recreational pavilions, ball fields. It's something that we can look at for a CITF or CDBG in the future. But as far as the ones that are available through DCD and DCNR right now, they wouldn't include the road work.
Is the road passable right now?
As it's been said that you wouldn't want to take your new car up there, but if you go there and use common sense and walk to go there, you can be okay if you drive sensibly.
Hagen Park is owned by Springdale Borough and Chesapeake.
Right.
There is supposed to be a joint committee that makes these decisions. This really is not our decision as a council per se to make a uniform decision as to what's going on. Frank Forbes was here from Springdale a couple weeks ago, and I chatted with him a second, and he has some ideas, but we have, in my mind, we have to have a unified group that includes them and us, whether that be a group from council, like 2 people from our council and 2 people from their council, or whatever combination, form a committee to take care of this, because there's a lot of things that can be done up there. The other option is to look and see if there's an association of some nature. For example, you could have people from our rec board, from their rec board, form a central association that is called the Egan Park Association, and we can, let's say, rely upon them to make unifying decisions as to what's going on. But we spin a lot of wheels because every other year we're responsible for the maintenance of the property. But the maintenance is really just cutting the grass. It's not capital projects. The place is used as a dumping ground too, which is another issue that needs to be talked about uniformly, because even though the material that's being dumped is not supposed to be a problem, if it's not done correctly, you can have landslides and you can have erosion sediment control issues, and that's not being addressed. So I would suggest that you form a committee, and either the rec board and get that committee going.
Yeah, let me backtrack a little bit. I think we talked about this last fall when Ian was here, and I was prepared to go on this.
Mm-hmm.
It took several months for Frank to call me.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't seem like he had much interest in doing anything forward. I don't detect any real interest on the rec board in being on this.
I'm gonna make it cooler, that's what I'm doing.
committee. It was suggested, if nothing, not necessarily rec board, but somebody who really, really likes the park. Might be a better person to be on the board than somebody on the rec board. I mean, even the neighbor, that's really who I think should be on the board. Because the rec board doesn't have any, can't read what the rec board is saying, but I don't know if they have any specific interest in getting into this.
We had, you might recall, in December, we had formed a intergovernmental committee with us in the township to evaluate and put together a plan for potential police merger. Here we could do something similar, and then Chestnut would nominate 1 or 2 people to that committee, and it could be anybody, some of the rec boards, some of the council, some of the town is interested, and staying over there, we can form a committee that doesn't have the sole purpose of looking at one item, but to continue to run this on a regular basis. I don't know who this Frank guy is.
He's on council for
Okay.
Springdale.
But
And he was down here. I mean, he was doing the same thing. When I talked to him, he said, well, nobody's ever gotten back to me. He said essentially the exact same thing Bob says. So apparently nobody's talked.
Well, yeah, I think if we take a step, then that helps to make something
Yes.
more formal than just informal communications.
Now, let me clarify one other thing too. The rec board charter is more program oriented. So strawberry festivals, things of that nature, they dabble a little bit in, some of the facilities, but the facility property is our rec committee. So Bob's in charge of facilities, the rec board is in charge of programs. Egan Park is someplace, we're throwing it on the rec, but it's really a joint, you would be part of that committee.
Right.
So you could propose to them, we could write them a letter and say we propose a committee to work on and resolving and addressing
I would really appreciate that, because it almost sounded like he didn't have much interest in doing anything.
that's true.
And so I don't quite know how to twist his arm any further.
No, I think they're interested in doing something.
Okay.
They just, they need somebody to talk to here.
I think there's a lot of people who are interested in improving the park, but with the way the relationship is between Chestnut and Springdale, I think if you went and asked someone at the borough, they would tell you like, well, there's no way to find,
Yeah.
who can we go to fix this? I know there was a group, and I was going to just ask if anybody remembers, but there was a group that wanted to put bike trails in there, to be able to mountain bike.
Mhm.
I do believe they were clearing it, and I don't know if they got stopped.
No, the Rachel Carson group apparently, according to Naviglia, uses that.
Oh,
So, yeah, so
A lot of it.
there is a group there that do that walk.
It's a beautiful trail.
But the other trail thing, the rail to trail thing has not gotten,
No, this isn't rail to
or
trail.
excuse me, the one that was supposed to be running up.
That
from
would
there.
be roasted.
That's real.
These were mountain bikers, a group of mountain bikers wanted to cut trails through Hagan Park. And it would just be a loop, you know, to climb and stuff like that. It would have been a bike trip. But I know that they were starting it and it stopped. I don't, you know, but there are people who are interested in that park. I do know that there was, at one time they were talking about, you know, a soccer organization needed field space and was saying, hey, you know, would that be possible? And there is room up there.
The year to year back and forth is just not conducive to anything. It's always been viewed as a hassle.
All you're doing is maintaining, yeah, basically.
You don't make it.
Cutting the grass once a week.
If we had a group that was long-term, this is what they do,
Right.
I think we'd be more in line to see things.
I have a postcard here from some people who run some movies up there right here. I mean, I don't know if that's why, I'm just showing you.
Right.
There is interest.
Well, that's why I say that a central,
Yeah, right.
an independent, somewhat independent, separate group would be more sustainable than what we've been doing on council. Because council people come and go, and apparently that whole concept of having members of council be part of that has just gone away. They're supposed to be meeting every month, as I understand it, but I have no documents or anything that support it.
I can tweak what we use for the other intergovernmental committee, and basically that we can adopt and they adopt, and then we have something.
I think we need something, as you said, to go forward. We don't really have anything right now.
So what are we gonna do?
If you want, I can put something together and then we can act on that and then send it over to them and then we have something.
Sounds good to me.
So the 40,000 you mentioned, was that for logging that was done years ago?
I think that's been
There's a
in
checking
trust
account.
forever. It was
We
50.
maintain the checking account. We can't find it.
It's a,
but
no,
We
it's
can't
a
find
account.
it.
I did.
Plig- oh, it's a
It's
Pliget account, okay.
I just,
We were looking for it the
yeah,
other
we
day.
were looking for it in PNC, it's a Pliget account.
Did that come from the individual who gifted it? Or did that sort of?
I don't know, it just was, I mean, it was here
I
when
assume-
I started
I assume
here
it's been said
5 years ago.
It's been said forever.
What's the diocese have to do with it? I've heard the diocese name mentioned.
If it goes, nobody else wants it, it'll go to the
Go back to
Catholic
the
Charities.
Catholic Church.
It was a launch, it was actually theirs, and they are letting us use it.
Is that what it is? That's not what I heard.
They probably have a sort of reversion.
Yeah.
It's us, but if we don't follow the terms and we abandon it, then it goes to them.
That's what my
That is
understanding.
because what they originally owned it.
No, that's probably because the person who gave it to the joint municipalities.
Oh.
That was no.
Right.
What do we get from the gas wells on the property?
From what Frank said, I don't mean to interrupt you, he said it's really pretty minor. I don't
I,
know. Probably not worth a lot. to
Yeah, I don't know.
with.
We'd have to look it up. Does it come in here? Or does, okay.
Sounds good.
So you're going to put together some type of a written something?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very similar to what we had done prior. It's not going to be as detailed or complex as what a joint police department's
Yeah.
charter agreement would be. It would be something.
Oh, like we do with, okay.
Yeah, that committee that we
Yeah.
formed.
Yeah.
Something comparable to that.
Absolutely.
It was like 2 pages.
Do we have to have people just from council, or can it be anybody?
I mean, we could leave it open-ended. It could be anybody.
That would probably be really
That
good.
seems to be the feel I have, is that, I'm not saying the rec board doesn't want to do it. I think if we get somebody who like really wants to do it, that's the person.
You're gonna be better off with citizens for
Right.
Hagan Park who want to make improvements. And I think I think there are people out there. And if you have a, public meeting, I mean, I guess we kind of form it that way, just to get people involved. Because I know there are people that really do like that park.
There you go.
I get it.
So
Newsletter
would-
topic.
would you
Newsletter
say you
topic.
would send that to Springfield?
Yeah, we put it together and we sent it to Springfield. We adopt it.
Okay,
They adopt it. Paul signs it.
okay,
Their president signs it. We have this entity as the forum.
okay.
You might want to talk to them, develop it, and then go talk to them and say, this is what we're proposing.
Yeah.
And if
As
they
far as
got
I
it-
know, there's just one person, and that's simply because that's his committee to do it.
Right.
I know nothing else beyond this guy. Okay,
I like that idea, that's good. Okay.
and that's it for me.
I also added on the second part under there that, I guess sort of along these same lines, I was contacted by AFS, it's a group representing First Energy, asking for temporary construction easement, and it's on Aiken property, coming across Riddle Run, just some unused, it's not like going into the park, as the park crosses on the other side of Riddle Run. First Energy needs to reroute some water, some water runoffs happening up towards the top. They need to have it running off into the river. So for that, there's 2 spaces that they're looking for temporary construction easement, and they'll pay $1,000 for each. I already ran it by Matt. He has saw no issues with it, and I'm waiting for Vince to get back to me, which on Matt's direction.
I don't see any problems.
But I'm saying then there's going to be $2,000 coming out of that
Right, good.
at the end of that
Yeah,
project
would
that
be-
could be used for
Pay
some of
Vince.
what we're
Look,
talking.
it would be
We're
pretty,
gonna pay Vince.
it would be pretty
Well,
hard,
it should be.
it would be pretty hard to say no.
So owner First Energy needs to get up there to put some,
Yeah, well.
They're going to store their pipes in their,
I'm assuming they need to get equipment up there.
no,
Oh,
The Aiken Park actually comes all the way down across Riddle Run Road.
here's where it's coming, these 2 highlighted spots.
okay.
So it's just a
See, the park's up here.
little spots on the,
Little spots
on
on the
the
other side.
west side of Riddle Run Road.
Okay.
Yeah, they're only like 20 foot wide and 100 foot long.
Right.
This is on the other side of the road.
Twist the arm.
I
you
think
know.
I see they get the red
there's one on each side,
Yeah.
but they'll just
No,
snap
they
their
were
pipe and
getting
they're
2
still
grand for
there.
doing
That's-
nothing.
Okay, anything else in reference? Public Works.
Matt's going to discuss the number 1 here on there, and that's the bulk telemeter interconnect. As you all remember, we had problems with that, and we had to find water from Springdale Borough, and it's always a nightmare. So Matt, you're up.
I looked at this with Dave Cattamore or Bill Cattamore and Dave Houston, and also talked it over with Harmer Water. Currently what happens is just outside the vault on the Harmer side, the 8-inch line is spurred into 2 4-inch lines. It enters the vault, has some valving, has the meters, and then it converts back to an 8-inch for the double check valve, exits the vault to where the control valve is, and then it enters the main line. Talking to Harmer Water, we tossed around some ideas. The reason it's the 4-inch is because your 4-inch metering prices are substantially less than 8-inch meter.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking it over. The issue is the control valve. It's just old. And when it was installed, it was installed properly with thrust blocks and everything, but it's installed in the manhole behind because there was not enough room in the vault. So there would be substantial excavation required and jackhammering of concrete to try to get that 8-inch one out and replace it, which would mean the interconnect would be down for some substantial time. So talking with Harmer Water, our thoughts were to where it narrows, it converts back to the 8-inch inside the vault, that to eliminate that section, run it 4-inch all the way through the vault with 2 new control valves that are just 4-inch control valves, and then right before it exits, converge back into the 8-inch. We'd be able to rip out all the guts of the existing control valve, and it would just basically be a pass-through at that point.
So you're essentially putting in a new setup and then getting rid of the old one? Do I hear you right?
It would basically be the same type of valve, but it would just be 2 4-inch valves.
Are you gonna dig a new vault?
No, it would all be inside the same
Oh, you're gonna
vault.
do it all in the same vault?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have to get with Mr. Cattamore and get some pricing from him, but lengthwise, I pulled the length from all the catalogs. That what we're proposing will fit in the vault, and then it basically, talking to Harmer Water, it'll provide us 2 parallel lines. So if 1 meter goes down or 1 check valve goes down, you still have a 4-inch line open, which doesn't provide the highest capacity, but it still provides you enough water to where you can fill the tank, and plus with the water that's in the tank, still run the system. So originally, when we were looking at it, of excavating the vault, putting a new vault in and everything, we were upwards of $50,000. Have them, if they haven't already installed them, because the existing meters were old. Some of the just the gate valves that are in the existing pit, they look rather new or not worn very well. So I think we can reuse some of the gate valves. We would need 2 of the new control valves that I mentioned, and we would need 2 4-inch double check valves, because instead of running the 8-inch, we'd keep it the 4-inch. So just talking to the manufacturer on some prices and just estimating what the install price would be, I'm estimating we're in the range of 18 to 20,000. But I have to talk to Mr. Cattamore and get a price from him to be a little more accurate on that.
One of the things that Frank, any comments on that? One of the things that Frank had said to me was from his COG, he thought we could do the, let's say, a bang-up job, a very appropriate job if we would get a grant. And I asked him to talk to you about that. Did he talk to you about that?
Yeah, I did talk to him, but there's only a few grants out there. Unfortunately, the one through DCED dried up last year, so until they get more funding, that one's suspended.
Okay.
There are the CDBG grants available. Unfortunately, Cheswick does not classify as the low to mod income, so those make it a little hard for us to achieve. For a project like that, because that services the whole town, we can't really do income surveys for an interconnect. There are CITF grants. That grant cycle's over this year, so we could always look at applying for it next year.
What's your intended timing on this? What are you thinking?
Talking to Frank, he seemed like something should be done sooner than later. And then
Davey feels the same way too. They're worried, things are clanging,
and
pipes are banging down.
talking to Harmer Water though,
Right.
doing it this way, I don't think that would even be a like a temporary. This would be a pretty good solution, and it would basically give you new control valves. And the one thing I just have to double check, I know the control valve, it's a solenoid valve. It gets the signal from the tank of when to shut off.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to make sure that we're able to run 2 of them together.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I think it's a pretty good idea moving forward, because like I said, it gives us 2 parallel lines that if one goes down, you have the other one always open.
What do you need from us?
I think I've been working with Dave and Mr. Cattamore. I think I'm to a point where I can go to him and tell him this is what we're looking at and get a quote from him. That way I can present it to the board so we know what it is.
Do we have to get multiple quotes?
If it comes in under 20,000, you're supposed to have 3 written quotes.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a matter of calling 2 other contractors. If it's over 20,000, we would have to competitively bid it.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're going to proceed?
Yeah, I'll proceed with
okay?
at least getting a quote from Mr. Cattamore,
Okay.
and that will kind of give us an idea of how to proceed from there.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Mike.
Want me to talk to him?
Do you want to talk on the Highland milling? Do you know anything about that, or?
Yeah, I read that.
Okay.
I received a call from John Gillette from Highland Milling about the Highland Milling and Pavement Project. He just asked that the council be notified that he received the notice to proceed with the project. He notified COG and he also notified Matt.
Yep.
All right. He is submitting a change date. I guess you have 30 days, and some of this is new to me, but upon getting the notice to proceed, I suppose you have 30 days. He's requesting a change date because to do the work, he needs the materials, which he isn't available until the spring.
I talked to him about that. It's nothing out of the ordinary, especially on these COG jobs. It's just a time extension. I'll put it together, and he'll sign it, and then council will just sign it.
Can you give a little background on this and how it relates to COG?
It was funded through the CDBG program.
Mm-hmm.
So Mr. Benecki is the point person on it for submitting the stuff to the county for the payments and everything.
Okay, so this is going through COG, and what do we have to do?
I work with Mr. Benecki just for the construction inspection.
Do we have to approve it?
We did several meetings ago.
Okay.
And he asked me to tell everybody, so.
No, I remember that.
You have been informed.
And all this was just getting it started. It falls under the Davis-Bacon wage rates, and those change at the beginning of March. So he just had to officially have his notice to proceed and make contact, because if he does that before March, he doesn't have to reapply for new wage rates.
Okay.
So I'd anticipate probably sometime end of April-ish for construction, but we're not sure yet.
Totally skipped my mind on this one.
Oh, not a problem. It's been sitting there long enough. I mean, can't pave in winter.
Yeah.
And this year, unfortunately, the county didn't get us the contracts until end of October. So it was already no chance of paving last year.
Okay, 3.
Yeah, Davey approached me yesterday, I think it was, about the backhoe. And I think he approached, Lorraine
On Monday,
also
yeah.
on Monday. So I was down yesterday and we took a tour of the backhoe. And he went over the whole backhoe with me and the parts problems, it's rusting. I think it's a 1990, if I'm not
It's
mistaken.
old.
Yeah, and it's with the salt, loading that salt, it's just
Right.
ripping it apart, you know, and parts for that are very, very expensive. We need a new starter,
Fuel pump injector.
fuel pump injector, the whole flooring is almost completely rusted out. It's been painted years ago, a couple years ago, Andy had it painted, and it looks nice, but it's like putting lipstick on a pig. You know, basically, it's in bad shape.
Okay.
He's able to try to keep things running. He is concerned about traveling with it. Coming down Highland Avenue, coming down Hill Avenue, coming down Pillow. I mean, he takes it very easy. He's concerned about the brakes and stuff on it.
Are you coming all the way up the hill?
We're right. And it's a concern. He says if it wasn't a use for a municipality, he could, you know, he'd go to a nice farm and be happy, but that's not the case here. I don't know what to say. It's a lot of money. A brand new one is like talking $80,000. I texted Frank. I says, "Are there grants out there?" And he said, "I don't think so, Ken, but I can look."
Who knows about these things?
Well, that's
I
it.
mean, other than David does.
I don't know anything other than what I was looking at.
Matt, do you know anything about backhoes?
I mean, minor. I mean, I could probably replace some starters and stuff on them, but
Yeah, and I mean,
Well,
that's what Davey's doing.
He's going to do what he can.
He's
replacing
gonna
stuff.
do what he
Yeah.
can do, and it's not that Davey wants a new backhoe. It's nothing like that. I've been hearing about this backhoe since I got on council, really, about the backhoe. So I was thinking, oh, you know, the township has a backhoe, old, also. They don't do salt with theirs, and we have an old one. You know, is there thoughts maybe of asking them, joining them, purchasing a backhoe?
Just leave that one there to do the salt and
Well, or.
getting a new one to do
Yeah,
other work.
or use it for share a backhoe, or, I don't know. I asked him, can we get away with a little thing, and now you can't, you know.
Beyond the salt, what do we use it for? Water line breaks or?
Water line breaks and stuff like that, even though we've been using BCI, but still,
There's some smaller ones that he can do on his own.
right, exactly. And that's what the township does too, except they don't load salt with theirs.
Well,
you know.
I mean, we have what, maybe 2 or 3 water line breaks a year that we're using it for.
Right,
And then salt during the winter. So
Right.
we don't really, you know, it's not like we're using it very often. The vast
Maybe we
majority of
just
the year.
lease a backhoe.
when there's,
It's much.
it's
That
not,
is-
yeah, but we're not using it on a regular basis.
Just in the winter? Lease a backhoe for just winter?
You want
No,
down-
lease
down
in case you have
trees.
if you have a need
Oh,
for
have a
it.
break,
If you have a water
okay.
break.
And then just use this crappy
To
thing
load.
for,
As a
loading,
loader.
as a loader.
Yeah, so it's not moving it around the
Mhm.
neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm concerned too.
I think we
Same-
factor some of that into our cost with, I can't remember whether
We
we factored that
did,
into
we
the
did
cost.
into Springdale Township loading and we did factor in backup. We did.
So there's money, there theoretically would be money there to replace it.
If you're thinking the
At
admin,
least
no.
partial.
No. Mm-mm. Well, I mean, we're just
Not-
basically
not whole new
like a dole or
Right.
a load.
Yeah, next month,
And we're looking at about how much for a new one?
80.
We have to
I
take out a
get it.
loan for that. It
Yeah.
won't have a major impact on our budget.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I.
But we probably should coordinate it with Springdale Township.
How,
of
That's-
some
That's
way.
what she was-
how would you lease something like that? No, if you wanted to lease?
I don't know, I mean, we'd have to, I never shopped around for a backhoe, to be honest with you, but,
Exactly.
but I'm sure that,
Yeah,
Can you rent a backhoe? Yeah.
Somebody could do it.
Yeah, you could rent one.
yeah, like.
And I remember when we were trying to get an agreement together for the township and looking into cost of rental, and it's not cheap. It wasn't cheap at all.
For as much as we use it, it would make more sense to piggyback off of each other, that both go into it.
Right, and that's what,
That's-
you know, that's what my thoughts were. Well, you know what, maybe reach out to the township, Tony.
See what they know about it. And then if,
Yeah, they just purchased
Ask
something
around.
up there, but I don't know, it wasn't a backhoe, it was a,
I don't know any equipment experts that I could go to. Anybody?
I don't
no.
find myself looking for
It sounds like we have to pursue
I
this.
guess what we can.
Yeah.
It's just how do we minimize the costs and
Yeah.
maximize the efficiency?
Right. But that definitely has to be addressed.
So you're gonna talk to the township?
I'll reach out to Tony up there, this week or something about, a backhoe and,
Let's talk to Sam Sack. He's a contractor and
okay,
actually knows
text
how
me
to
over
operate.
this number and, I'll reach
See
out
what
to
he has
him.
to say. Okay.
Definitely. Lorraine, you got the information on inspecting the water tower
Yeah,
and
this-
cleaning it?
This was
That's
another, yeah, that was another thing that Ian had initiated, got some quotes.
Mhm.
They keep calling me on it, and in my discussions with Baby, I guess that's something you have to do with some
Right.
degree of frequency.
Mhm.
I can't sit here and know when the last time it was done, but the quote that we have, and it was, he did re-quote it,
Mhm.
came out the same, you're looking at $3,295, and that would be to clean and inspect the water
The
tower. I
water
guess
tower.
divers go in there and
Yeah, they
scrub the
will.
insides and do all those.
Mhm.
Well, they just
Healthy
lower the
things.
water. We actually painted it. I remember back in the 80s, we had to have the whole thing painted, inside and out.
Okay.
So if they do an inspection, there might be some need for
To
actually
have, yeah.
painting, yeah.
So I think that's something that we should put on the table and decide
Oh, yeah.
if I want to do it or not.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
let's do.
Yeah,
So how would the
definitely.
motion,
Should I
Do you
make a
have-
motion on that?
well, look and see what their bid is and what it includes, and then let Matt take a look at it.
Okay.
I'll send it over to you.
Good.
Okay.
Anything else on that?
Had a lot of residents make, nice compliments on Davy with, the roads this winter so far, you know, with the ice and the storms and everything, a lot of nice compliments, so pass that on to Davy, all right?
Okay,
I guess
anything?
on a similar note, although it's kind of off topic, everyone saw the things that happened in the paper a week or so ago. I met with Debbie Caldwell, the owner of Perfect Endings. She praised Chief Nvidia for his efforts up and down. So similar to Davey, I think should make note of what Mike's done.
Okay, is there any old business? Any new business? A motion to go into executive session?
Make a motion to go into executive session for
Personnel.
personnel.
And then we have a legal update too. I can't remember what that was for. I
Yeah,
remember
you
I remember
got
saying
it.
mark it
Yeah.
down as legal.
Yeah,